Gardner-Webb head coach Trey Lamb, the team coming off a 31-16 win against Robert Morris, step out of conference for the next 2 weeks. This week, they're going to be at Austin Peay. Coach, some thoughts on your team, and then we'll go to some questions.
I want to start by thanking our fans and our administration. We had a whiteout at home, and it was pretty cool to see the student section come in shortly after kickoff, had a nice crowd, make it feel like a big-time atmosphere. I think our game day experience has gotten so much better in my 3 years here, and it didn't start, everything didn't happen from the jump. It's gradually gotten better, and obviously winning and having success makes that better. But I just want to thank our admin and our fans for showing up and making a difference in the first half. First quarter up 21-0, and I felt like momentum and the fans had a lot to do with that. Second of all, mental health week last week, we did Helinski's Hope with the ribbons on our helmets and our sleeves, and that's important to me with young men in our program and really across the country. You're so much more than a football player. You're a person. You need to have an identity spiritually and mentally and physically, and something outside of football. I think we forget that sometimes as coaches. These young men are not just jersey numbers. They have mental health issues. They have confidence issues, and it's our job to build those up and be demanding of the things we need to win football games. You look at Robert Morris, Bernard Clark. I think he's done a fantastic job of flipping that roster. They are so much better than they were last year. Last year, they were non-competitive in a lot of football games. I think they're going to win several more games this year. They've done a really good job offensively. They give you issues. Defensively, they're long. They've recruited some good players, and I'm happy to get a win. It was a weird game. We get up 21-0, 3 straight possessions, playing great complimentary football in the first half, 28-3 at the half, and then come out of halftime and kind of, I don't know if we put it in neutral or I called a bad game or what it was, but we did not play well in the second half, and they outplayed us. And we got out of there safely and ended up winning the game by a couple possessions. But our turnover margin continues to haunt us. We're 116th in the country in turnover margin, and there's really 2 ways to look at that. Either it's my fault, the player's fault, or it's bad luck, and the truth's probably somewhere in the middle. So I have to take responsibility for that. I am emphasizing it every single day in meetings and team meetings and in practice. I do think turnovers have a little bit to do with the skill on your team. It has a little bit to do with how you work at it and how much you work at it, but it does have a little bit to do with luck too. And we continue to lose fumbles. On our own 10-yard line, our guard goes the wrong way, and we get a unexpected down lineman makes a hit on our running back in the backfield. We fumble, they run it in for a score, and then next possession we punt, or they punt to us and we drop the punt. So we put our defense in 2 awful situations again, and I've got to get this addressed and fix it. It's easy for us to sit here as coaches to yell, hold on to the ball. That's not coaching. Turnovers happen in a lot of different ways. Sometimes it's on the O-line, the ball carrier, the quarterback, whoever it may be. But we got to get some of these cleaned up. You look at Austin Peay. I joked with Coach Brown. I talked to Watson Brown last week. He called me. I hadn't talked to him in a while. He's like, y'all got Austin Peay. He used to be the head coach there when he was young like myself, 28 years old. And I said, yeah, Coach, we're playing the Sergeant York Trophy this year, and we're not even – in the OVC. We're playing Tennessee State, Martin, Tennessee Tech, and Austin Peay. So great challenge for us. I think Scotty and I got hired about the same time. Very similar philosophies on both sides of the ball. It's almost like watching ourselves on tape. Very good schematically. They're fast. They have a very athletic football team. He does a really good job, and I got a lot of respect for him. The difference right now is their quarterback's a fifth-year senior and 23 years old, and he's playing really well for them. So we've got a huge challenge ahead, and I'm certainly looking forward to it and making the trip back up to Tennessee again for our second time this year, and then we'll make another one to Cookeville in November. So with that, I'll open it up with questions.
Just know, Coach, that Sergeant York Trophy weighs about 85 pounds, so it's pretty heavy. So we'll go to questions. I know Jacob's with us on the phone. Go ahead, Jacob. As many as you got. Go ahead.
Hey, Coach, you talked about having to fix some things, work on some things, and you can't just tell the kids to hold on to the ball or whatever. So what are some tangible things you can do to work on things like that in practice?
Yeah, I think you show them other teams. Like last week, I showed them a 40-play cut-up of all the fumbles in college football. It took about 30 minutes to show that, and I showed it to the offense, the defense, the entire team. Like, hey, here's when the fumbles are occurring late in the downs. here's when your feet stop. Is when the ball's being taken away. Okay, here an O lineman goes the wrong way and allows a 3 technique to split a gap, and there's surprise contact on the ball carrier. I think there's a bunch of different ways to do it, but I think we got to continue to emphasize taking it away too. We're not getting a ton of turnovers. We probably should have had more the other day. We had an interception picked off. They got called back with a PI call. So I'd also think it has a little bit to do with luck, Jacob, and good players. I think our players are good enough to win games if we hold on to the ball and we do take care of the football. But you can say all you want. It's not a round object. The football is a sphere, and it has to bounce your way. Like last year, we got all those turnovers, and we won the conference, and we won a playoff game. I'm not saying that's the only factor, but 116th out of 128 is not going to get it done. And I'm looking for answers. I've talked to other head coaches. I've talked to people who've had these issues in the past, and just trying to create ideas. Competitive ball security circuits have been a big emphasis for us. But at some point, the ball's got to bounce our way.
Coach, you mentioned Austin Peay's fifth-year quarterback. Is that one of the reasons they're putting up big numbers on offense? Because I just looked at their scores, and they seem like they can score pretty much any time they want to.
Yeah, I think they're a lot like us offensively. I think they play with a ton of tempo. They're going to try to snap the ball and beat you with leverage. They're going to make you defend the entire field width-wise and length-wise. The 2 games where they scored a bunch of points, East Tennessee State and Lindenwood, their receivers and quarterbacks had an absolutely outstanding day on the deep balls. They hit several deep shots for explosive plays. And then there's also been, you look at a couple other games, Stephen F. Austin did a great job against them defensively, and they didn't have a good day on offense. And then the same thing with Southern Illinois. So when you're playing in this style of offense, it usually goes one way or the other. It's usually really hot or really cold. The medium is kind of, as play callers and running this spread, Baylor system where you get these wide splits and these stacks. The bad days can be really bad because you're putting your defense in some really bad spots. But the good days are really good because you're scoring 50. So the happy medium is the hard part about this offense. And I've lived it. I live it every week. And he's thinking the same thing. So, but yeah, the 2 games where they lit it up, the corners for those other teams had a tough day. And our corners got to step up and make plays. We got to mix in some different coverages and change the picture on the perimeter.
Coach, how's the injury situation? I know you rested Nari in the last game, and then Matthew Caldwell got a little knock late in the fourth quarter. So how's the injury situation looking for this week?
Nari will be back this week. He probably could have played last week. We held him didn't want to re-injure the ankle. I think he'll be okay. He should be good to go. Matt's good to go. He had an x-ray yesterday. That was negative. He will practice this week, and we'll see how that goes. So I look forward to having both of those guys.
And as far as keys to the game, what would you say the biggest key would be to slowing down that offense on their side and being productive on offense on your side and coming away with a win Saturday?
Yeah, the biggest thing is offensively, we've got to produce points or drive the ball, sustain drives. And people always talk about, well, they go fast, so they go 3 and out fast. I don't care if you go fast or slow. You go 3 and out, it's bad. It's bad for everybody. So offense, we've got to be our greatest asset this week of sustaining drives, being good on 3rd and short, 3rd and medium. First down is going to be huge for both teams, gaining yards. Defensively, we've got to prevent the ball from being thrown over our head. We've got to tackle well in space. We've got to speed to shimmy, speed to power. The quarterback's going to get his yards, okay? They're going to get there. He's going to move. He's a bowling ball. He runs well. He's a really good player, maybe the best player. Probably the best quarterback we've played against, maybe outside of App State's Aguilar, who's having a really good year. So you're not going to stop him. I mean, that's kind of how this offense works. You kind of make the play caller uncomfortable. You got to keep him on his sideline and hold on to the ball a little bit and drive the ball offensively, and then change the pictures on 1st, 2nd, and 3rd down, and hopefully he makes some mistakes. But you're certainly not going to stop this offense. It's not happening. You have to slow it down. You have to create turnovers and not give up the cheap ones.
All right, Coach, that's all from me. Thank you.
Coach, you referenced a hot start. So what can you take from that start to maybe try to replicate that in other weeks against other opponents?
Well, we had a great week of practice, and I told our players that. And practice has been really emphasized over the last 2 weeks, which I did not think we had a very good week of practice against East Carolina or Tennessee State, the 2 games we lost. I'm sorry, Tennessee State. Lose that game on the last second field goal and then have a bad showing at East Carolina in a hurricane. But I thought the practice leading up to those 2 games was poor. I thought the practices against Elon and App State were really good, and we played well in those games. We upset Elon, had a chance to beat App State. So we took the off week. We said, look, guys, practice has got to be important. It's always been important, but we got to turn it up even another notch. We've practiced a little longer. We've gotten more good on good plays. And last week we had a great week of practice. We come out and we go score, stop, score, stop, score, stop, 21-0. So had a lot to do with preparation, in my opinion.
Well, Coach, appreciate your time this morning. Best of luck, and we will talk to you next week.
All right. Thank you, guys.